Hello, my name is Brandy Hofer, your host and founder of Color Me Happy, a community podcast and book, all of which I started in my in-home studio whilst in the throes of motherhood. I am an artist, author, educator, and mother to 3 beautiful boys. We live and create together in our in-home studio that is tucked away in the quiet Canadian prairies. Our podcast and community was built to empower and inspire. We chat about everything from motherhood, the art world, business, and health in the most honest and authentic way. It's totally unedited and unfiltered. If you love what we do here, become a part of our free community, Color Me Happy. We have grown the community to support our members with features and interviews. Our link is in the notes. Thank you for being here. I sure do appreciate your time. Welcome here on Color Me Happy. I screwed that up. Welcome to Color Me Happy. I'm your host, Brandy Hofer. Thank you so much for being here today. I sure do appreciate your time. We have Vera on from Thorpe Recovery, who is also a recovering addict herself, and she tells us her authentic, raw story here on the podcast. And thank you, Vera, for being so open and so brave and coming on and talking about that, because her journey obviously is working currently at the Thorpe and helping people through recovery themselves. So her path took her there. So it's a very interesting, touching story that will inspire you for sure. And they do amazing things out there for our community and surrounding area. I also have their contact information too, and we wanted to feature this as part of Sober September. We were a part of it. However, September's over, but I think it's something that we all should be curious about anyway. All right, then. I am a busy at home. I'm currently at home, and this is what life is like, and very busy. We had a big gala last night with a declaration signing for Truth and Reconciliation, along with a live auction art piece. So I'm pooped, and I'm installing a mural tomorrow morning. So the fun never ends, / being a parent and swimming with... I'm tired from swimming with Teddy. He was like super into it. So like I went up and down the water slide steps 1,000 times. That's why I'm so tired. He's my little shadow in life. He likes to be with me. He likes to do computer work with me. He likes to eat breakfast with me. He likes to sleep with me. Do you love Mama the most?
Dad, I'm coming.
Maybe not. Anyway, we also have our weekly inspiration newsletter where I haven't written it yet, but I will. I'm not sure what we're focusing on yet. Well, I do know, but I will probably share my story actually a bit. I'll pull it from my book. Most of our inspiration and things we write in our newsletter, which people love. I've said it once and I'll say it again. People love our newsletter, so you can sign up at brandyhofer.ca. It is highly opened, apparently, according to data and statistics. So I'm super proud of it because it takes me a lot of time each week. So I'd love to see you there. We also have our upcoming workshop with Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio. They are one of our partners, but also I just love them so much. And we're doing an art and yoga mini retreat. So it's a perfect thing if you're looking to either connect to yourself alone, or a lot of people are bringing I would say, not children, not like Teddy. That would be my nightmare, is trying to do yoga with Teddy and then making art at the same time. It is my nightmare. It's my daily joy. Sorry, not nightmare. Daily joy. Sure. Anyway, 2 minutes. I'm so tired, I can't even talk. But anywho, I'm really excited. We're gonna have tea and really good food, and a lot of my friends are bringing their daughters or their sons who are a bit older, and then I have a lot of women coming with their friends, and it's gonna be a great day. And it's filling up really fast. It's on October 22nd, and the link to sign up for that, the early bird is $89 right now. So check that out, and we'll see you there.
Yeah.
Aspect of it. So let's start like way back. I really want to hear your story.
Okay.
And actually Jill from Red Bicycle Communications, who is one of our partners in the podcast, she recommended we chat because we'd become fast friends, and that your story was one that we needed all to hear. So
okay.
yeah.
That does feel a little bit like pressure, because the way that I was approached about this was literally kind of like, just entering someone's office and they're like, oh, there's this podcast, we'd like you to do that. It's with Brandy Hofer, and and I just kind of was this deer in a headlight, and I just said yes, because generally when I'm asked to do something, I say yes, and so I don't know what I got myself into, but I'm sure I'm going to find out.
I genuinely do want to hear your story, though. It's because like there's a reason probably you work at the Thorpe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm a person in recovery. I'm clean and sober from drugs and alcohol, and also in recovery from an eating disorder. So I've been in recovery for going on just 12 years, 4 months, something like that. And so my story has a lot to do with the journey from going through many years of active addiction, and then trying to grow my life out of the ashes, essentially, because I pretty much burned my life down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that would have been what, 2010 or 11?
2011.
Yeah.
It's June 10th, 2011 is my
day.
sobriety date. Yeah. Clean date from everything. It's the day that I gave up behavioral and substance addictions. So, and I don't know that I at that day knew that I was going to stay clean long term, because I had to that point completed 9 treatment centers. I had given up on ever being clean. The last relapse, so to speak, lasted 5 years, where beforehand I would really try to go to detox once, twice, 3 times a year. I'd go to treatment once or twice a year, and between 2006 and 2011, I hadn't tried to get clean because I gave up on myself. Yeah. So
not just in Lloydminster?
No, I actually
in different spots.
Yeah, I've never used here. I moved here to work at Thorpe. I had initially moved out west. I worked at a different treatment center just outside of Wilkie for a couple.
All my family's from Wilkie.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wilkie's interesting. I came from Toronto, and then I moved to outside of Wilkie, so it was
that's a bit
of a culture shock.
That is definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know that I knew what I got myself into. I just knew that I was ready to explore working in the field of addiction recovery, and I had at that point just done a college diploma, 2 years, and with plans on going back to university. But I just wanted to see, what it would be like to work in this profession, and to have an opportunity, really, with limited education at the time, to work as an addiction counselor. And so I was offered that opportunity, and then just the way circumstances, I looked for a different opportunity. And the Thorpe Recovery Center had been, I've been looking at their website over, I would say the span of 6 months, and I knew I didn't meet the qualifications for an addiction counseling position at the time, but I really wanted to leave where I was, and so I ended up applying for a community support worker position at the Thorpe Recovery Center. But then I was offered the continuing care counseling and an intake administration position, and so that's how my journey at the Thorpe Recovery Center started. And since then, I've completed my bachelor's in psychology, and I'm currently I'm pretty much in the middle of my master's in counseling psychology. So I'm going to be done next year, December, And so I've had a long educational history in my recovery, but also a long history with the Thorpe Recovery Center now. So it's been a huge blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the younger you saw yourself where you are today?
No, absolutely not. I don't know that I saw myself in any way. I think I was one of these people that I went to very good schools. I went to university. I went to McGill. I moved back to Germany because that's where I was born and raised.
Oh, cool.
And I went back to university there. And so essentially the way the programs worked in Germany in the 90s, because that's where I was born in the early 70s. And so I left school about a semester shy of a master's in business. And then I fell off the planet. I fell into my addiction for a good 13 years before I got clean.
And was that like related to the world you were in, like in the business world? Do you think it was like, because we talk about on this podcast specifically, like following your passion and your heart and what life's meaning is to you and moving through life that way. Do you think like that correlated in the and I listen to a lot of business podcasts of like women like choosing not to be a lawyer anymore or
Yeah. And so for me, I think it was really just the kind of following an expectation that I placed on myself. I come from a family of professionals, educated, so I don't know that I ever really thought about what I wanted to be. And so initially at McGill I studied English Lit because it was just, I liked books. And when we moved from Germany to Canada, I spent so many years trying to learn how to fit in and how to develop my identity according to who I was in relationship to where we live now. And so I don't know that I ever really spent a lot of time finding me as what my passions are, where my where my interests lie outside of books. And so when I moved back to Germany, and I just thought about what would successful people do, and I think it was more ego driven than really what my natural inclination would be. Mm-hmm. So business is not anything remotely something that's close to my heart. I think I was just more attached to maybe the position that would give me. Yeah.
Was that hard? Like what age, sorry, so timeline wise, mm-hmm. I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Yeah. You came from Germany and went back, so mm-hmm. What year, how old were you?
I was 13 when we moved to Canada.
Oh, so that's really...
hard. At a really, really tough age, and struggling with belonging. I'm an only child. I have, from busy, successful parents that really didn't have a lot of time necessarily to figure out whether the move, whether I was really adjusting well. I think it was just always assumed that things will just turn out. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know either that maybe I needed a little bit more support. So I spent about from 1985 to 1993 in Canada. And then in the middle of my bachelor's, I moved back to Germany. So I lived there for 5 years. And my addiction started in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in 1998, my mom showed up unexpectedly in Germany and said that a friend of mine had told her that I was struggling with drugs. And so she shipped me back to Canada, and I went to my first treatment center. Yeah.
But because your mom made you? Or you wanted to?
No, I don't think I wanted to. I think I wanted to please people. I've always kind of wanted to be, I needed to be looked at as as compliant, and I think I was fearful in a lot of ways. I don't know. I don't want to get into all sorts of attachment disorder things and stuff like
we
that.
don't need to.
I definitely have, those people-pleasing tendencies, and I wanted to fulfill expectations. And so if everybody thinks that I need to do this, then I did it. And I don't really truly remember much about my treatment. I did get into a relationship in treatment. We moved in together right away afterwards, and that didn't turn out well. So that kind of started my journey through my drug life in Canada, mostly in Toronto and Montreal, and my journey through the next 12 treatment centers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, not 12. Sorry, I'm making this up. The next 8. It's 8.
12 years and 8.
12. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's the numbers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I can't speak to addiction specifically, but I am 2012. I don't really keep count. 2012 sober.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
And 7 years before that, I stopped drinking hard alcohol because I was like, just like something flicks, switch flicks.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do what I did the last time I did that. So like, self-awareness and obviously not probably to the extreme situations that you probably found yourself in your life.
No, I hope not for you. Yeah.
But and then finally struggling with mental health and the situation. Sorry, I feel like, there we go. The situation I was in environmentally. Yeah. Had to leave that, and then the healing began afterward. After some sexual harassment situations stuff. So and you think you have to be doing something in order, like I feel like in times in your life you're with your business degree, it's like, this is what I need to get by in life. And you think that if you leaving would be hard and uncomfortable, but actually it's necessary, right? Like it's a necessary thing for you to leave that chapter of your life and become the person that you were because I surely don't want to be back doing what I was doing. Like it was so much. I'm so grateful in a way, even though it was so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I when you say that leaving things for the right reasons, I didn't leave at the time for the right reasons. I left for addiction. The studies, my business studies, but I think it was what offered me an escape from a situation where I just wasn't happy. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel that I'd made the right decisions. I regretted moving back to Germany. So there was a lot of just, decisions that I could have made if, in a healthy way. And so addiction, I think, just alleviated me from making scary, courageous decisions. But what you're talking about, the decision to leave because you're not meant to be there and you're meant to take care of yourself and take that step into something new and something better. So that was for me really when I decided to get clean. I left everything behind, my entire life. I walked away with the clothes on my back, literally. And I don't know that I would have been able to make that step if it hadn't been so extreme. But I do also believe that everything that I went through, those years that I spent in addiction from my first treatment center, where really the consequences were, to me, invisible at that point. I didn't feel them, other people did. To my where I ended up, the day that I got clean and stayed clean, it's like night and day. It's night and day. It's I don't know that I would have survived much longer, and so I truly I truly believe that what I went through has saved my life and has given me a life and an identity. It allowed me to find myself and my purpose.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I just want to take some notes, of course, too, so I remember everything. But so when you're, and I know obviously you can't talk about like patient relations a whole bunch, but it's a safe space. But do you feel like people have to like decide to come, because like a lot of people fall back in to addiction? I'm sure there's not like a blanket answer for why.
No. People fall back, I think, for all sorts of reasons. It's terrifying to live differently because addiction is coping. Addiction isn't like substances, behavioral addiction. It's not, it's not what used to be looked at as, this people that are just immoral and they have an intention of not being good people and they drink and do drugs. It's really, it's coping. It starts out as a solution to a problem that didn't have a solution. And so when people, and me included, fall into addiction, it's a relief, and it works for a while. And I think that if addiction never had any consequences for anybody, I think many people would just use substances once in a while, have a good time, and then not use them anymore. And a lot of people can do that. But for most of us who have addiction, the addiction is a solution to a problem. So when people come into recovery, we've taken away the solution. So there needs to be a new solution, and because addiction is so overwhelmingly all-encompassing, it becomes an entire world. But when you take an entire world away, you need to replace it with an entire puzzle of individual pieces of coping strategies so that people don't have to use anymore. And I think a lot of relapses happen because people don't know how to use the coping strategies yet during difficult times. It's easier sometimes just to go back to what we know, and sometimes it's just that they're maybe not quite done yet, but they've had an opportunity to see what recovery could be, and that people do recover. And so 9 treatment centers, I learned something in every treatment center, and on that journey I met many people that over time just stayed sober, and I'd go in and out of recovery and addiction. And so I learned that if I really wanted to be sober, and I put the work in, that sobriety is possible, and recovery can be rewarding, and I could have a life. And so relapse is so multifaceted. It's not the same reason for everybody, but there's a learning opportunity in relapse as long as a person makes it back alive.
Right. So every time you take you walk away with it something, right?
Yeah.
Like well, I actually wrote a book, not about addiction or anything, but every things that happen to you in your life, like in a visual way of, it's a building block to the foundation of who you are,
right.
And each time you walk away with a new building block on your foundation, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So do you want to talk about some of that programming that people can turn to? Obviously, like I feel moving your body and every day, or finding, and that's not just running, that's like what works for you specifically, right?
Yeah. So I think everybody's recovery will look a little bit different, right? So there's so many different things that people end up bringing into their lives that make their lives worthwhile. One of my favorite things to say is like, you need to create a life that you want to be sober in, and that is, and that's not going to look the same for everybody. But if I don't have a life that I want to live, that I want to get up in the morning and be the best person I can be that day, and to contribute to the lives of others, and learn something that can make me a better person for the next day, then I probably wouldn't want to be sober. So there's obviously there's those steps, like for the people who have access to treatment, to go to detox, come to treatment. So in this area, like Thorpe Recovery Center, we have the privilege of helping many people on a daily basis, find hope, and see that they too have the ability and the right to have recovery.
They matter.
They matter. I'm yet to meet somebody that comes into treatment and feels that they matter and that they are worth it. It's and so allowing people a space to be seen and to share what they need to share is huge. And then to see other people and to learn how to connect and to learn how to that drugs don't have to be the vehicle through connection, right? So that other people will want to be connected to them, and that they have something really essential to offer to other people, right? So I think
so self-worth is like number one, kind of like when. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because addiction is so shame-rooted and shame-based that it's very difficult at the beginning to see why the person, and I can speak for myself, I didn't feel that I had a right to have good things in my life, and I felt like I was irredeemable, like there was no redemption for me, but I did find hope, and then I found healing, and then I found in the work and the changes that I made, and by staying sober and trying to give back what was given to me, that I have found redemption in being clean and making amends.
Finding purpose,
making active amends, living a different life, giving back to society rather than taking. And so I think for people who come into recovery, they need to find their purpose, whatever that may be. For some people, it may be to be a parent and to have children or get their children back or be present for their children. For some people, it may be to find some an educational path and a career afterwards. And for some people, it's really just living the life they already have, but being fully present in it rather than just kind of haunting it. So and we try to at Thorpe, we try to just offer people opportunities. This is why we facilitate different 12-step fellowship meetings in the evenings. We have a run club so people can try out what walking or running and learning how to run can do for their recovery, and the connection through running, right? So my own recovery, I've always exercised and ran, but in the last 5 years or so, I've truly found a community through running, in a place of belonging, and like a second family in a sense. So and for people to see that we don't necessarily, because we're in recovery, are only going to connect with people in recovery, but that we become humans that connect with humans regardless of what walk of life and what choices they've made. And so I think that's really key to people coming to the run club and running with a volunteer and talking about what they want to talk about, and that people show up for them because they're people, and they want to share running, and that they're seen as equals. And so there's lots of different aspects to a journey in recovery, and I'm sure that you know how because of your own journey in that it takes a village to raise a recovering addict. It really does. So, yeah.
I think finding a positive community that wants to see you succeed,
Yes.
right? Surrounding yourself with people who want to lift you up and see you do well.
Right.
That's for everyone in life.
Yeah.
Right? That's for everyone. You're going to thrive if the people around you really genuinely want you to. And I love the running community. We have a great one in Lloydminster, and I actually, when I was in college, my auntie made me. She's very persuasive. And she made me join the cross-country running team because she's a runner in Red Deer. And honestly, it was just, I'm so grateful she did, because I have all those tools and it's always been there for me, right? And they took us to the mountains. I had never hiked up a mountain before and back down, let alone in one time in a blizzard.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't fun.
No.
But like, I did it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Didn't die. Some people did turn around because
I
you
would
could
imagine.
have.
Yeah.
And then you get past the scary parts, but it's just something about those real life highs, you know, and doing them, and you're like, oh wow, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Then, like, it's really empowering.
Yes.
And races are very positive too, right?
Yeah.
So finding that thing that clicks with you, where you can find community,
right,
fall back on it,
Yeah.
you know, not just for the highs, but like, there's going to be lows.
There's going to be lows. I think it's I think the highs are important. Probably for everybody. I've never lived in a person that's not an addict body, so I can't speak for that experience. But I do know that I really enjoy those accomplishments. I'm not the fastest person in the universe, but I'm tenacious, and I like to complete things, and I like the accomplishment, and I like to push myself. So your story about hiking a mountain in the blizzard, I can totally relate. I'm like, I wouldn't have turned around. I would have wanted to see myself accomplish that, right? And so I think finding the things that kind of bring you joy and that are a foundation that you can belong to every day, but also give you opportunity to shine and enjoy some of those highs is really, really important. So, and then also connecting to recovery community, right? I mean, some of the communities, they intertwine. I know lots of running community are also people that run and exercise because of mental health stuff and their own version of recovery. I think probably to be human, you probably are recovering from something, right? I used to have this idea that everybody who's not an addict just has it easy. I didn't really have a perspective on that life is tough and people are trying to do the best they can. And with this recovery, once I got through that, that shame and that resentment phase, and kind of feeling like entitled, now that I'm entitled to the best life, because don't you know my life has been horrible during my addiction, because it wasn't horrible beforehand. I'm a very lucky person. I just didn't know that I was a lucky person, and I didn't know how to value what I had. So I was entitled for a long time, probably from a little kid on, but I'm losing my track a little bit.
No, that's okay.
Why am I
that's
talking
okay.
about entitlement?
Well, no, you're like that. Everyone has it hard.
Right.
There's not one person in this world who's feels like they have it. Well, I mean, there are gracious moments, and I certainly have them in my life, because I too feel like, but I didn't come from, we didn't grow up with money or anything.
Right.
So there were moments of, separated parents and feeling shame about, and coming from a community that there's a lot of money here. So a lot of kids had things.
Yeah.
I didn't have things. I had one pair of pants. And then every new school year I would save up $60 and get as much as I could with that $60 that I had saved for the year for back to school, right? So there was, or probably not 60, probably more 40. I remember getting $8 shirts and being like, yes, I found it on sale at the mall. But it's like not one person is every day they're like, wow, like this was easy.
No.
You know?
No, and I like what you, like, I really appreciate what you're sharing, because everybody's struggles are different, and I appreciate that sometimes people get to learn gratitude and in like through different opportunities, and I don't know that I knew what gratitude was really ever, because from a long time ago I felt that there's some that I've been wronged in other ways, and so that feeling of being owed something, and when I got clean with nothing, and learning how to build a life literally from leaving treatment with secondhand clothes, having no financial resources, not asking for help, because I used to have my parents just clean up my mess and then I'd go on my merry way. And so when they stopped doing that and allowed me to fall, and I fell hard, and I kept falling harder and harder, and eventually when I decided to get clean, and somebody actually had the guts to tell me that if you don't learn to do these things on your own, you're never going to be clean. Mm-hmm. And so I learned what it was like not to be able to buy clothes, not to be able to have nice things, to buy things that are to go secondhand clothing shopping. And eventually when I bought something new at Winners, it was like the most glorious thing. And
you had earned it.
I had earned it. I had saved it. And in the beginning of my recovery, I volunteered for 2 years. I volunteered because I didn't know how to be a responsible person anymore. I didn't know how to show up for a job. I'd never actually been gainfully employed for longer than probably a moment. And so I had no relationship of what that would be like. Everything was kind of done for me, paid for me. All my schooling has always been paid for me. So to really firmly stand on my own 2 feet with literally almost nothing, and trying to learn how to become a responsible human being outside of a school environment, I volunteered and I learned how to show up for something and for somebody else. That wasn't about me. But I learned how to be a person and how to have responsibilities, and slowly I trusted myself to do more things. And then over time, my life grew and I was able to do more. And I firmly believe today, and I don't know if I can trademark this saying, and maybe it's not my original one, but I feel it is mine, is that grateful people don't relapse. And because I was never grateful, and today I go to bed grateful for the coffee I'm going to have in the morning, and I'm grateful for matching socks, and I find gratitude in the fact that the Tim Hortons lady knows my name, and they greet me right on the way where you order rather than at the window. Oh, hi, Miss Vera. And it's just those things that I didn't know that life consisted of little things. I used to only look at the big things because I attributed value to big things.
Big success.
Yeah. Big material, big, anything. And none of which I've never been a big success or a big thing in any kind, but because I felt so inferior all the time, I just kind of looked to those things, and if I'd had something like that, I would suddenly matter. Mm-hmm. So, and today I feel I matter because I get up and I will do things with my day, and I'm going to do scary things like coming to your house and sitting here and not really knowing what's going to happen. And
for sure, it's scary,
right?
Yeah.
And of course, like, I'm the kind of person, I research things, and I know lots about you, and I've heard lots about you, and you're quite a very respected person in this community and beyond. And so naturally, part of me is always a little intimidated at first, but then the other part of me is like,
just another human moving through her day.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
The other part is like, we're going to talk about something and it's going to be okay. And, and I'm really, I feel blessed and I'm very honored to be here today. And that, somebody just said, hey, you're doing a podcast, this is her email. So,
we have a special community in that way.
Yeah.
That we all we're kind of friends and we work together.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Right, it is.
But coming back to gratitude, I feel like maybe the way we were raised was quite different in the situations that I had to develop a thriftiness
Right.
for, working toward, and you had that pressure. So in saying that, everyone can fall into addiction from every walk of life.
Yes, addiction doesn't discriminate. And actually there is going to be, in November, there's going to be an exhibition, Addiction Doesn't Discriminate. Locally here, organized mainly through Residents in Recovery, Thorpe is going to be involved.
Oh, great.
Thorpe has, in the past years, not been greatly engaged in a lot of community involvement, and we are actively changing that.
Good.
Lots and lots of things have changed in the last this year, and so Thorpe is, we're on a path to start contributing to community again, and to be seen and to be supportive and to engage in in our community, so that people know that we're here for them. And addiction does not discriminate. It really doesn't. It's one of those things that I think it's a human disease, and it's and it's a deadly disease, and it kills no matter whom, right? So, and it doesn't also discriminate in who gets recovery. It's really a matter of whoever is willing to do the hard work and to be patient and to struggle.
I feel like gratitude is a practice, and it's something I learned and taught myself. I mean, my parents surely did too there somewhere, but I feel like in the last 5 years, it's crazy how much of a life expander it can be.
Yes.
But every day you have to kind of remind yourself back there to gratitude, there's days where you just can't. Sometimes you just need to, and you probably just need to rest then that day.
Right. And just be grateful.
Cry a bit, have a rest.
Yes. Yeah. And
get some sleep.
And not have to be this perfect person, because we're always grateful now. And so if I, to be too perfectionist about this, new humanness and this gratitude piece, that in a sense that I think that, getting up and doing what you need to do during the day, it is a form of gratitude, because we show up, right? And sometimes not in the greatest version of ourselves. I'm not always the best person. I have days where I bitch and complain about everything. I have so many amazing things going on in my life, and I take an inventory and I'm like, poor me, why do I have to do all these things? And then I'm like, oh, and I do know when I say these things and I'm taking this list of the grievances that I have, that I'm being ungrateful, but sometimes I need to allow myself to be ungrateful so that I can go back to saying, okay, enough now. It's like... And
there's probably people out there, like my sister in particular, or my very good, we share a best friend.
Okay.
Custody. But one of, and those are my safe spaces.
Yeah.
I can be like, oh, you know what,
Yep.
and they're not going to, like see you on your pedestal or anything and judge you because of it. They're like, yeah, you know, or they give you constructive, like Jenny, our best friend, she will give you another perspective, which is very constructive to your anger.
Yeah, or self-pity.
Your self-pity.
Right?
Or, you know, validating, like, yes, you can feel that way, and that's okay sometimes, and that's hard.
Yeah.
I feel like she should be a coach or something, but they run Oasis Hot Yoga Studio.
Oh,
so
wow, yeah, that's
I'm
a
going
lovely
to
place.
Noodle Night, which is a confusing title for
To
everyone.
what?
Exactly.
Okay.
What is Noodle Night?
I
I
have
was
no
like, are
idea.
there pool noodles and yoga?
Yeah.
It's actually, you do yoga and go over to the East Market Noodle House and all have noodles after.
Oh my God. I need
She
to
keeps calling it Noodle
I
Night
love
though,
it,
even though
though.
everyone's so confused by it.
But I think that's like the mystery of what you're actually doing, whether it's like, you know, pool noodles or like, you know, spaghetti yoga or something.
Yeah, spaghetti yoga.
I love
I would
stuff like that.
Well, I have this way off. I would go to spaghetti yoga.
I would too. I'm terrible at yoga. I'm more of an active person.
But yoga's great because it's your own practice. And for like people who feel like they need to move and shake all the time, it's actually really a great thing to like incorporate into your week. I don't say day because we only have so much in a day.
Yeah.
But like it's just like this is your time.
Yeah.
And it's like almost forcing you to just like chill out. I'm so glad I'm going tonight because like today I woke up with like I'm extremely anxious about everything. Like everything is anxious today. And then I'm like, I better go I take those natural mushrooms like the reishi and chaga. I was like, maybe I'll take 3.
Okay. I don't know much about that.
It's just, my naturopath got me on.
Oh, okay.
She's like, these will chill you out. And I was like, I don't think that's possible.
Right. Okay.
You don't know.
And do they work?
Yeah, like to a certain degree.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like you can feel it.
Right.
Right? It's just, it's a blend of like turkey tail and chaga and reishi and I didn't believe her either. And women have so many things with hormones and everything going on.
Women,
Yeah.
So yeah.
They do help, and it's
Yes.
not going to hurt you to take them. It's not like going on St. John's wort for depression,
Yeah.
which I've done, by the way, and it was very bad. Took me to my lowest low I've ever hit my
no.
whole. So I don't encourage self-medicating
No,
at
absolutely
any
not.
degree because I've experienced it going, well, my lowest in my whole entire life. So, and to dig yourself out of that hole is something else. So please don't go on St. John's wort. Go to a psychiatrist and get proper medication.
Yeah.
But the mushrooms definitely won't harm you in any way like that.
Yeah.
Like they're not a hormonal altering chemical in your brain.
Right.
They just, lots of people drink chaga. Like it's been around for
Centuries, probably,
such a
right?
long time.
Yeah.
My husband's quite anxious about sleep. And so and the kids drink it too. Like it's actually completely harmless.
Okay.
So,
Because my addictive brain is thinking mushrooms and like all sorts of properties.
no,
But if you
not
give it to your children.
not
I trust
no.
that
It's not
okay.
like the microdosing mushrooms. It's like it's like the indigenous culture mushrooms that you
Right.
forage, and well, all mushrooms are foraged, I imagine. I guess, but these
at
are
some
just the
point,
ones like
maybe.
help with inflammation in your
Yeah.
gut and help like
Right.
those
The
kind of
traditional
things, like-
medicine.
yeah,
Traditional
like
medicine,
turmeric and like it
Right.
falls into the category
Yeah.
of. But I didn't believe her, and now I'm a very big advocate for them because within the first month, especially when with the 10 days leading up to my period, which I really struggled with mentally, I was kind of a different
Yeah.
gal, and it was like I didn't even I like didn't even know it was coming. But
Like that's emotional psychic exchange, like in that time before your period.
yeah, it was just
Yeah.
it helped. It
Yeah.
helped. I wouldn't say it solved it all the way because life stresses really F with your women hormones. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're getting off. We're off topic, but
that's okay.
I did want to come back to a little bit of addiction and numbing because I had heard something on another Rick, what's his name? Another huge podcaster on he's a big runner, Rich Roll. He's a huge and just like
I'm
a
not
lifestyle.
good with names, and
but
I'm like, as much as I like running, and
I think it's Rich Roll. He has a
Okay.
huge, and he brings on basically the biggest people who talk about mental health and wellness,
right.
what is. Like they did the Blue Zone thing on Netflix, like who the centenarians who live past 100. Why do they live
Yes,
past 100?
yes.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
So like community things you're talking
Yeah.
about today. Why do people live long lives?
Yeah.
Community, sense of community, belonging, self-worth, of course, moving your body. Like the
Right.
people in Italy that lived the longest had to walk up a hill to their house every day to get to
5
church.
times,
So
right.
church community.
Right.
Like they're still eating pasta and all the good stuff,
yeah.
Parmesan, but it's all handmade. So
Yes.
it's like there's these reasons people thrive in their lives.
Yes.
And so Rich, I probably made up his name. It's probably not Rich Roll. Rich Roll. I'm sure I could pull him up on my phone, and people are like, that's not his
That's
name.
not his name. You don't.
But I haven't
seen
listened
it.
to it, but I saw on his Instagram someone was talking about, and this specifically, this will probably release next week because I am featuring someone else this week for tomorrow for Truth and Reconciliation. But
Right.
it's not hitting Sober September, but I feel like this is a lifestyle choice,
It
not
is.
just a September choice.
No, it's a sober.
It's
every month.
sober curious. And so what he talked about and what a lot of people, because alcohol specifically is so accepted in our society, it's so available.
Yeah.
And especially I think, so it's mostly women on here. So, it's okay to have a glass of wine in the afternoon. It's really,
While you cook
I'm
dinner.
sorry. Yeah, it's not.
No.
It's not, and I'm not judging you or anything because I stepped out of that life.
Yeah.
Friday night was my whole bottle of red wine night. And for the fact that society was okay with that and I was not okay as a person doesn't sit right with me. But what he's saying is that even if it's just a little bit, and that one when you get home from work or whatever, it's still numbing you. It's still a coping mechanism.
Absolutely.
It's still, and he talks about this medium that you're moving through life with this brain fog.
Yeah.
And
That makes
so
sense.
many women experience brain fog.
Yeah.
Let's be serious.
Yeah.
Or you hit that time of day where you're really low. Like
Yeah.
I have a time of day. I
2
know
to
it's
4.
coming. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming. I know it's coming. So what can, I take, I have the oil, the fish oil, the omega-3s, aging when I'm like, how can I avoid the crash of the day and not want to reach for whatever? I don't want to reach for whatever anymore. I'm way past, we're going on 11 years now. I'm past the point of, if I wanted to try wine, it would be in New York at the fanciest shit restaurant, and I'd have this much and then give the rest to whoever.
Yeah.
But because it's a fancy treat, not because I need it. Right?
Right.
So I'm really interested to learn more because I love learning about this, is moving through with that brain fog of just the little bits of, because I really think they do add up.
So, I mean, I'm a complete abstinence person, so I don't think that there is for many people who with addiction, there is no little bit.
Right.
So for me, who I have,
That's why I don't think I fall into the category of an alcoholic.
Right.
I was using it to cope,
Right.
but I stopped.
Right.
And it was more of a habitual problem than I don't know, you live in the addiction world of therapy.
Yes.
So I don't think I would fall into the addiction category necessarily.
You may not be, you may not fall into the full
the
addiction.
low end of the spectrum.
Exactly. Addiction it's a spectrum, but they talk a little bit about like two different types of alcoholics where, the non-drinker, the social drinker, but then there is the problem drinker. And so the problem drinker and the alcoholic will have a lot of the same drinking habits and a lot of the same kind of experiences. But when the problem drinker encounters certain circumstances that are so grave or so relevant, that the problem drinker can make a difficult decision and stop drinking, and may struggle with the decision to stop drinking and misses it and all these things, but is able to stop and go on with their lives without having more significant intervention. Whereas the alcoholic can't stop regardless. It is the addiction. I mean, there's so many different addiction theories and everything else, but there is, even if I look at it from a 12-step perspective, I'm a 12-step recovery person, and so that void, that perpetual void that needs to be numbed or filled, and the inability to live life or a moment of time the way it is experienced without changing it is just intolerable. Mm-hmm. And so that to me is how I separate somebody with your experience and somebody who would require treatment and can't ever really touch anything safely.
Right.
Like I still don't eat poppy seeds. I've never been an opiate addict, but I'm so accustomed to when I go in treatment is going to be urine screen, so that today I have just this fear of anything that can change anything, even if it just shows up.
You
in
never
my
want
body.
a chance.
I can't.
Going back there.
I can't,
right.
Because if that little New York sip of wine
pushed you over that
triggers my addiction, and alcohol was never my primary drug, but alcohol was always a constant. And the initial times when I go to treatment, I gave up my drug of choice, but I thought I could still drink safely. So then I drank alcoholically like a fish, buying wine by the cases several days a week and those kinds of things. And then eventually I would just go back to what I preferred, because addiction itself doesn't discriminate either. It'll take what it can get, and eventually it'll just take you back to what it wants.
I don't think I could have done it right away. Like,
No.
And I trust, and it's different for everyone. Like, you would never want to risk it, but I just trust myself with the kids. There's no effing way that I would choose to step back into that life of feeling, and no one believed me because I was functioning so well.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't functioning. I was one of those people I literally traded a lifestyle. Like I lived in another world completely. I don't know. I was never able to combine the two, probably for shame and for the fact that I just couldn't do that, that constant being reminded that I need to do something different and that I should be somebody different, and watching people hurt, because I knew how much I was hurting the people that loved me, and watching them hurt it was just too overwhelming, which then led me to needing to use more, and the shame of the guilt. So removing myself from that life completely, because I could just do my addiction without having constantly to face, the pain and the sadness and the anger of those that love me. So there is just no functionality, but lots of people do have functionality, and it talks about it in the 12-step literature about raising the bottom. The initial people that got clean with 12-step, they were all low bottom alcoholics. They were all people that were put into asylums, that everybody had written off, that at the time no doctors, the greatest doctors in the universe, didn't know how to help. And so the foundation of the 12-step piece is really about people that had reached death essentially without dying, but that doesn't mean you have to get there to stop. right? So when you recognize that problem drinking is taking you to a place where
Problem and socially acceptable.
Yeah.
How is that socially acceptable?
But that's
You
only
know?
because somebody decided that that would be legal, right? And it's been a substance that's over the centuries. And I mean, drugs have been there over the centuries as well. But you know, we probably legalized the most toxic, deadly substance. Alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
That also has the most detrimental biological effects on the human body.
And DNA.
And
Carried
DNA,
on
and,
forward.
Yeah, and you know, and then it carries over in the DNA as a genetic, you know, predisposition for addiction. But it also causes so much trauma. So it causes the genetic, you know, it's the generational trauma. So epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
So that you know, and it's alcohol is probably one of the greatest issues or the greatest disasters that humans have ever created for themselves, just to escape and feel different. So.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
It was very nice to meet you. I appreciate everything, and I'm sure people learn so much and feel very inspired by your path. Your path
Thank
into
you.
who you're meant to be, a wonderful, thriving person who essentially impacts our community and so many others through your work.
I thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this experience. It's so I'm very grateful to have been asked. So thank you. Yeah, it's always a little nerve-wracking. I'm a little sweaty.
That's okay. How does someone reach out to the Thorpe,
For support?
For support.
So the Thorpe Center, we are open. So Monday through Friday, the admissions office is open from 8 to 4:30. So if somebody wants to have information about how to apply to come to treatment, just call 780-875-8890 and ask to be connected to the admissions office. Our website as well. You know, we're going to soon have a really nice new website, but at this point, you still find all relevant information on the current website. It has an application under the admissions process, and so somebody can download the application and fill it out and send it in, and the admissions office will guide the person through the process.
And you have a gorgeous new space out there too, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We absolutely do. We have a lot of. We're almost at capacity, and we're kind of fully funded. So on the Alberta side, anybody who needs treatment can have access to treatment. Obviously, there's always a little bit of a wait list, but our admissions department will walk people through that process. But there's we say addiction doesn't discriminate, but recovery also is possible for everybody. And everybody, if you want to reach out for help, we're happy to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Alrighty, thank you so much for being here. Again, you can subscribe to our weekly inspiration newsletter at brandyhofer.ca. I can't wait because in about a month, and I know I've been saying this, I have chocolate muffin on my face. Amazing. Our new website is coming, and we're really focusing on the online education part, and then supporting artists and creatives who want to do murals and have basically the influx of questions. I've created places for people to go who have those questions. So I'm really excited, and our team is working hard on launching that. We also have our new YouTube channel too, where all the podcasts go, which you might be watching this on YouTube right now. But I also have a lot of cool videos on there for you to explore. So check that out. Thanks for being here, friend. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Insta. That's where I sit and answer messages most of the time at Brandy Hofer Studios. So we'll chat soon. Thank you to our community supporters. Right. Remember how I'm really, 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 really tired. but happy. Really tired but happy. That is a season of life with young children. I'm really tired but super happy, but super stressed, but super filled with love, but super everything to extremes. I saw someone last night in the gala and she's like, I seriously would trade places with you in a heartbeat. I miss this stage so much. I don't know if I'll miss it. I guess I'll let you know. Maybe I'll still be podcasting by then and talking to people. But I'm sure there'll be aspects I miss about it. I can tell you, though, I don't miss a season of babies. So I don't know if I'll miss this. I do miss the smell and the nursing and the connection, but I don't miss the hardness of it. It was so hard. The whole not sleeping thing. And then, anyway, thank you to our community partners. Get back there, Brandy. Okay. Oasis Hot. Oh yeah. And speaking of Oasis, please sign up for a workshop. I would love to see you there. I rarely do workshops. Really excited about doing an in-person one and connecting with people. I love connecting with people and having a good time. And this is going to be a guaranteed good time. And we're making really cool circle panels. So you're walking away with something amazing that I will help you create. And it'll basically it'll be easy breezy and fun. So we are partnering with our workshops with them. And then Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center. Look at my skin after detoxing and back. I just had my first Pico treatment again to help with scarring, and it's helping. I'm not wearing makeup or anything right now, and a huge improvement in just one treatment. So I'm excited. I love going there and feeling good in my own skin. And BioClean Disaster Services, as well as Red Bicycle Communications, who actually this episode's really brought to you by because they hooked this up. Jill's was like, you have to hear Vera's story. It's so interesting, and you guys will click. And we did. So thank you, Jill, and we'll chat with you all soon.
If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.